You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
What's happening, guys? Today I'm chatting with Paul Moore. Paul is a managing director and co-founder of Wellings Capital, a commercial real estate investment fund. Paul was the finalist for Ernst & Young's Michigan's Entrepreneur of the Year 2 years straight. Paul later entered the real estate sector, where he completed 85 real estate investments and exits, appeared on HGTV special, rehabbed and managed dozens of rental properties, developed a waterfront subdivision, and started 2 successful online real estate marketing firms. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here.
Absolutely. So, Paul, tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and maybe also like where you're calling in from.
Yeah, I'm in Central Virginia. I actually sold my company in Detroit 22 years ago, and I kind of reacted against Detroit as it was imploding.
Okay.
And we decided we wanted to raise our 2, and now I've turned into 4 kids down in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. We never had a really good reason to leave, and so that's where we're located, and I'm involved in commercial real estate investing. I'm a fund manager.
Yeah, let's tell our listeners a little bit about that. So, what does the company do? Wellings Capital, right?
Yeah.
What kind of value does that bring to the marketplace out there?
Yeah, a lot of people really want to get involved in commercial real estate. They realize that the Forbes 400 wealthiest people in the world invest in commercial real estate, but they don't know who to trust. They don't know how to get involved. They don't know what they need to bring to the table, millions of dollars. What do I do? And that's how I was for years. And so what we do, Wellings Capital vets out all the very best commercial real estate operators we can find in recession-resistant assets like self-storage, mobile home parks. Someday it'll be senior living. We vet out those operators, and then we put together a fund and allow people to invest small amounts of money. When I say small, it's not small for everybody, but $50,000 or more. And we put it all together, and then we invest millions at a time in these larger projects, and we get everybody, hopefully, a better return than they would have got if they'd have tried to do it alone.
So essentially, you're creating a fund out of these different assets out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And let's discuss a little bit about, and I think there's a key word there that everyone probably is like, how's that work? How's that possible? Recession resistant. Tell us a little bit about tell me how you define that for our listeners.
Yeah, I'll just give you a couple examples. When people downsized in 2008 from a large home to a small one, or from a small one to an apartment, or sometimes from an apartment to a mobile home, they often had a lot of stuff they weren't willing to part with. There's pictures, Mike, from the 1930s Depression era where people would literally leave their stuff, beds, dressers, etc., along the side of the road.
Yeah.
But you didn't see that in 2008. And people didn't want to get rid of their stuff. And for a relatively small amount of money, they could use self-storage to store their stuff. And so in bad times, people are storing stuff. In good times, they're at Walmart or filling up their Amazon cart, and they're buying more stuff, and they're filling up their storage units. And so it's relatively recession resistant. Mobile homes are the same way. Mobile homes are the bottom of the rung on the housing chain. And if somebody can't afford approximately an average of $300 lot rent, well, they're probably going to end up under a bridge. So people do not move out of mobile homes except very, very rarely. And they typically don't want to spend, $5,000 to move a mobile home down the street to save a couple bucks a month on lot rent. And so tenants are very sticky, and they do extremely well during recessions, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I grew up in a mobile home, and I remember my parents dropping off rent or lot rent over to the owner of the lot for a while, and then that kind of went away. Then there was also, of course, paying for the mobile home itself. It wasn't a mobile home park, but it was definitely out in the middle of nowhere in Central California. Yeah. But it was, it's definitely apparent that those markets are safe, or safer, if you will. And we hear it all the time. on this show and others is that storage units, especially in America, is such a good business.
Yeah, it really is. Now it is overheated, not quite as bad as apartments.
Okay.
But you've got to know where to buy them. Really? And for example, we're looking at a self-storage facility in the middle of Texas right now that's bank owned. And it's very rare to see a bank owned self-storage, but we found one. And so those are the type of things we're looking for. Something with a lot of meat on the bones, a lot of upside.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of market research to ensure that those things are going to be filled, right? So
yeah.
It makes sense. How do you feel in terms of your entrepreneurship journey, why there's business owners and or entrepreneurs that are aspiring to be a business owner? Why do you think they fail?
Yeah, I've got a podcast called How to Lose Money.
Awesome.
And we talk to business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs about their failures along the way. What I've found is, and you won't be surprised, is that everybody, I can't think of anybody I've met who hasn't failed, especially if they're trying to do a lot of stuff. And so I think that people fail. Sometimes I think they fail from interviewing 200 people on our show. We found a lot of them are partnering with the wrong person.
Yeah.
We found a lot of other folks, are not getting good advice, or they're plunging in without a lot of wisdom. We found other folks, now this is funny, some of them give up way too soon and others hold on way too long, which sounds very contradictory, but you've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And the people on our show, we found that sometimes they were working really hard and persevering up the wrong tree, and other people were on the right tree, but they didn't persevere long enough. And those are two ways to fail.
I'd like to dig into that a little bit because I love the answer of that, especially because you have a show that's based around that question, which is great. Let's kind of talk about, or your thoughts on, and your colleagues as well, people you've interviewed on the show. When do you hold them and when do you fold them? What does that look like?
There's a story in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, which is about a guy, without going into detail, he quit 4 feet short of hitting the largest gold mine in Colorado. And there's more to that story, but basically the lessons from that were he quit too soon and he didn't get good advice. If he would have found a local, which the guy who came in behind him did, he found a local to explain what happened, where the gold was, he would have persevered and done well. So he was on the right path, but he quit too soon. Other people, and I'm going to use myself now, in 2012, we were doing housing up in North Dakota during the oil boom. We had a very successful multifamily project. And lo and behold, I went off and started a wireless internet company. And there was just one problem after another from the month we started. And I should have known before we spent as a group $390,000 in 7 years, we should have just folded within the first 6 months, gone home with $100,000 loss, and given everybody 3/4 of their money back, including myself. I was the largest investor. But we didn't. We were going down the wrong trail, and we persevered far, far too long. And I think, how do you know the difference? These seem so contradictory. I think the answer is wisdom. Most people in their 10s and teens and 20s don't have the wisdom that somebody who's much older has. And I think it's only wisdom to know when you're in situation A and when you're in the opposite situation.
Are you struggling to grow your business? Have you ever thought, man, I wish Mike could answer my specific questions about my business? Well, you're in luck, and I can help. Go to michaellevis.com and sign up to schedule a free live on-air call today. That's right. For a limited time, we're recording real business owners with real struggles. I think that's a really good point. I think there might not be there's not necessarily a calculation or an algorithm to something like that. Wisdom comes into play where you just ask, how do you find that wisdom? You find someone that's done it. Right?
That's right.
That's right. You find the right coaches, the right advisors. You have a good board. And if you don't, you search online and you ask for a favor. Hey, listen, here's the situation. You got to do that. And I think you owe it to yourself. If you're in a business right now that might be losing consistently and you're not able to get above water, it's a great learning process and it's part of the game, but hopefully you can get out sooner than later. But if you're winning, you're close, obviously good advice is the takeaway here.
Right.
What are you excited about right now in the commercial industry?
So, we're at it would seem for the last several years, we've been at a tipping point, Mike, where, prices are way overheated.
Yeah.
And I don't want this to happen to anybody, but it's just a fact of economic cycles that people are going to get burned. If they're overpaying right now, if they're using unbridled exuberance, they're going to get in trouble when the market turns down, and it will turn. It always does. I'm excited because we've tapped into some operators who are finding off-market, mom and pop owned, or occasionally, like I mentioned, bank owned deals that are really, really significant. They have significant meat on the bone. And so the formula we're using is finding an underperforming deal in a great location run by a mom and pop owner, bringing in a professional management team, basically doing all that stuff that the first people didn't do. They usually have the attitude, if we build it, they will come. Well, we don't have that attitude. Of course, we're bringing in professional marketing, professional website, professional team, lots of value adds. And then at the other end of the scale there, going from a mom and pop, upgrading it, and then selling it in a portfolio sometimes to a REIT, or basically an investment trust that is, buying large scale properties and paying a premium for that. That formula is working extremely well, and I'm very excited about it.
So I guess it's just you really have to carve out a niche, even though there's millions of commercial real estate properties out there. You got to find a niche within a niche at the end of the day, right? And it sounds like you're just trying to find an angle to find the mom and pops, which sounds like a great win. How are you currently, or how have you, with all of your experiences, Paul, been able to build the life that you want to live?
Well, I think I've failed at this pretty badly. I've always said my top priority is my family, my wife, my 4 kids, and I don't really think I've lived like it. I think that what I've learned recently is I would have been a lot healthier over the years. Instead of working a little bit 7 days a week, I think I'd have been a lot healthier if I would have worked intensely on really high leverage activities about 2 days a week, and then had 2 or 3 buffer days a week where I do emails, voicemails, get back to people, pay bills, clean my office, all that, and then took 2 days a week or more completely off. And once I've learned that principle, I'm a lot better able to be fully present for my family or my friends or whatever else I'm doing on my free days, and also be fully present for work on the days where I'm totally focused.
It's really good advice. And I think everyone listening to the show will appreciate that after what we've already discussed, but being able to kind of look back and see that, I think that people forget about, how to define productivity, Paul. And I think that's so important, is to remember to keep the main thing, and simplifying your life as to what is either revenue generating if you're in the sales world, or if you're an operations person, what is pushing us to the next level in SOPs and processes and procedures and systems. I mean, what is productivity defined for you? If you're listening, that's, I think, the really best takeaway that Paul just kind of dropped on us, which is important. Is let's define productivity. How do you take the next step? And productivity feels really good. You sleep at night when you define that, and you know how to focus on that day to day.
Right.
Thank you for that. Out of all your successes and failures, Paul, what kind of parting advice would you give to the Business and Life Nation here today?
I think what I would say is you need to learn the difference between investing and speculating. Now, it's okay to speculate. I mean, Facebook, Google, all these type of amazing, wild successes started as speculations. But you know what? There's other people who have done very well, and they're not as flashy and glamorous, like Warren Buffett, who've done pretty well for themselves by not speculating at all, but by investing. Now, the difference is this. Speculating is when your principal is not at all safe and you've got a chance to make a return. Investing is when your principal is generally very safe and you've got a chance to make a return. Now, Jeff Zuckerberg asked, I said it wrong again. I did that the other day. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, they both talked to Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And Mark asked him, Warren, why doesn't everybody copy your model? It's simple. We can all see what you're doing. Why doesn't everybody do that? And Warren laughed and said, oh, no. Nobody wants to get wealthy that slow. And, speculating is more fun. And as entrepreneurs, we sometimes mix up investing and speculating, and we think that, we're frontier, we're on the leading edge, we're doing something here. Well, if you keep playing double or nothing with all your money, you'll eventually end up with nothing and you'll have nothing left to double.
Yeah, that's really good advice, speculation. Paul, where can people find you?
They can reach out to me on my website. It's wellingscapital.com. That's WELLINGSCAPITAL, wellingscapital.com. Or they can go on Amazon and look for a book I wrote called The Perfect Investment.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul, so much for your time.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.